In the last 2 weeks, I've had two consulting clients ask me, how did you get started in this space? So I wanted to go ahead and answer this question. I initially got started because I came across a headline that read something to the effect of major brand is sued because their website isn't ADA compliant. And I read the article and I didn't think too much of it. But then a few months later, I came across another article. And this time the headline was something to the effect, it was the same effect. It was like a major company or celebrity was sued because their website wasn't accessible. And so this piqued my interest. And so this is where I started looking into ADA compliance and website accessibility just to figure out for myself what was going on. And I only have 3 slides, but this first slide has a headline, Target to pay $6 million to settle site accessibility suit. And then the subheadline is Target has settled a class action lawsuit with the National Federation of the ... And this typifies the type of headline that I was increasingly coming across as I looked more and more into ADA compliance and website accessibility. And by the way, this Target lawsuit happened well before I entered into this space. So the article is dated August 28th, 2008. And the Target lawsuit was really a landmark lawsuit that was a precursor to the serial litigation that we've seen over the last several years. But as I was researching and just reading different guides and articles on ADA compliance and website accessibility, what I the articles weren't helpful. They had bad information and they didn't detail exactly what you needed to do, and it was too vague and ambiguous to really extract meaning for your average website owner who would be just trying to figure out, hey, how do I not get sued over website accessibility? But what is the case now, and was definitely the case then, is this was more of a reactive research than a proactive research, because many website owners weren't even aware that ADA compliance for websites was even a thing. Like, they didn't know that they could be sued over website accessibility. And when I got started researching, neither did I. But that's in part what made me curious about this. So I just kept looking into this. And the more and more I researched, I realized that the digital accessibility companies themselves didn't really understand this space, because the information wasn't aligned with what was actually happening and what needed to happen. So I looked into this and continued to research it, and then finally, oh, and by the way, I'm on this next slide, and we still see so much unhelpful information even to this day. So even 7 years later, we still have a lot of bad information on accessibility. And on this slide, I have a snippet from the Google results, and this is from the HubSpot blog. And the title for the article is How to Run a Web Accessibility Audit. Well, you don't run a web accessibility audit. So even the title, it already gives you an idea of what this author is thinking. But the article, to be fair, has been updated. It was updated in September, so just over a month ago. So they've corrected a lot of the errors in the article, but we still see misalignment inside the article. And so I have another snippet from the article itself, and it says types of web accessibility audits. And then the line underneath that reads, there are two main types of digital accessibility audits you should focus on. And then there are two bullet points: manual accessibility and automated accessibility. So this is just, it's written misleading and it's wrong for multiple reasons. Really, here, they should just say that they're talking about a website accessibility audit. And then the audits wouldn't be referred to as manual accessibility and automated accessibility. And then also that here they have a misalignment. They write web accessibility, but then they write digital accessibility. So they don't really understand the types of accessibility. And there are no automated accessibility audits. It's just a scan. It's not an audit. It's not a formal evaluation. So, but I'm getting besides the point. My point here is that what I was reading, the information was unhelpful, it was vague, it was wrong. And so what I found out was a lot of digital accessibility companies just didn't know what they were talking about. And this is from HubSpot. I don't know why HubSpot has been so persistent in creating content around digital accessibility. But this article, it for a long time when it was up before it was edited, it had several errors in it. So they have improved it, but this was typical of the information that I was coming across. So that led to me just researching further, and then I ended up writing an article on ADA compliance for websites. And I've edited this article over the years to be more precise and updated for information that I was coming across. But when I wrote the article, I didn't fully understand this space either. I just knew that I could write a better article and a more helpful article than what was already published. So the article is titled "ADA Compliance for Websites in Plain English," and that's similar to the title that was in the that was there with the original article. But it was originally published in November 7th, 2018. So this article ended up ranking number one on Google. And so it was really lucky that that happened. And now it has over 265,000 views. I haven't looked at it in a while, but this article really is how a lot of people found out about me. And from here, at one point I was hired by a digital accessibility company, but I've continued on. I no longer work for the company, but I've continued on and just continued to research and learn more about. I spent a long time on the web content accessibility guidelines. That took me a while to really understand what these technical standards actually required. So just a lot of reading on this, a lot of reading on ADA compliance. I am an attorney, but I wasn't familiar with ADA compliance when I got started in this. I had to read up on it just like anybody else. And so I mean, obviously being an attorney and having a legal background helps. But I had to research this, and the more I've read, and I still read on this to this day. Now I've got a lot of most of the foundational knowledge is there, but now it's about updates and making sure I'm aware of the latest trends. But that's how I got started, and now it's like it's become even more than just ADA compliance and lawsuits, because we see digital accessibility being mandated through different laws and regulations. So it's become a full-time work for me, and it's all I do really professionally. Like, I have some other side interests, but this is what I do for the most part. And so now I maintain this channel. Now I've got accessible.org. I started accessible.org not too much longer after I published this article. But yeah, running accessible.org, creating course curriculum, helping people learn website accessibility. And it's mostly just me. I do have, for the services, I contract out to contractors that I've interviewed, talked with, started slow with, but then it's just progressed to me. I own and operate accessible.org. And then just, this channel has been a lot of what I'm doing, and posting more and more videos. And it really does start with the fact that so much of the material is wrong, misleading, deceptive, unhelpful. I want people to know exactly what you need to do. Actually comes back to something that goes beyond ADA compliance and website accessibility. When you buy a course, there are so many courses where they don't really tell you exactly what to do. And I think that if you purchase a course and you have access to this premium content, that whatever the course is designed around, it should tell you exactly what to do, because I paid you for this. It's not free information. So don't give me generalized information. I need specifics. And I've tried to carry that forward with my courses, and the material is just like, okay, tell me exactly what I need to know here. And so that comes across in my YouTube videos as well. I want this to be as clear as possible. And so that's why in some of my videos, you'll see me going through Reddit posts or articles or maybe something else where I'm talking about, this is exactly what this means. Here is, I want to align people with what is the actual truth, what is the actual reality. And part of that is that I'm obsessive of the fact that so many people have this wrong, and it's creating misalignment, and people are misled. And what ends up happening is they are sued, which is horrible for so many small businesses. I also want people to be aware of accessibility, because still to this day, there are so many people that aren't aware that you can make a website accessible. But there is a lot of misleading information out there. And then also, people are paying so much money unnecessarily, like literally, I mean, even on a per individual basis, individual account basis, literally people are wasting tens of thousands of dollars on platforms and scans that aren't even helpful, but they don't know it. And so many people they're attracted to the quote unquote solutions because it makes them feel like they're progressing when they're actually not. So a lot of this for me is just helping people understand exactly what they need. And it does get expensive, but making sure that it's not any more expensive than it needs to be, and knowing what services are necessary and what are not, and also gaining confidence that they can reduce their risk of litigation by taking these measures. So that's one thing I really like about my ADA compliance course is, like, as you work through the course, you're going to improve accessibility, which is what this is supposed to be all about, and then also reduce your risk of being sued. So I really like that dual benefit with the ADA compliance course. But that's what I'm doing. That's how I got started, and that's how I'm progressing. It's just a matter of trying to help as many people as possible, while ultimately getting to getting to accessibility, which is what this is supposed to be all about. But that's been, we and I say that collectively, as just a marketplace, as website owners, as people looking to be in compliance with the laws and not so much concerned about lawsuits. That's what the end objective is supposed to be of all of this. But we've been rerouted and diverted by any number of sellers in this space who are creating misalignment knowingly and intentionally to serve their own company interests, whether they be just simply making money, or whether it's increasing the company valuation. It just, there's so much misalignment that's created. And so what I'm trying to do is help people understand exactly what this is and what needs to be done, and how to carry out accessibility and compliance in an efficient way, and a effective way. So efficient being we save time and money, and then effective meaning we actually reach this point where our digital assets are accessible. And so obviously, the peak here is going to be WCAG 2.2 AA conformance. And you'll have accessibility professionals tell you that accessibility goes beyond WCAG. Yeah, I agree, it can, but WCAG is already a really steep climb for many digital asset owners. So it goes well beyond, So that, my point there being that, yes, when we get into the technical aspects of accessibility, we can't always do more, but we can usually do more. But so many people have difficulty understanding this, that even with WCAG 2.2, if they can reach that, that's such, like, first of all, it's going to provide excellent accessibility. And then second of all, it really is a great standard to strive towards. So I think this explains where I started, and then where I'm coming from with this channel, what I'm trying to do. I eventually, this is going to become mainstream, and I'm trying to accelerate that process. So the more people that know, ideally the less people that are sued, because for small businesses, this has wreaked havoc. And people are losing their livelihoods. Like people are going bankrupt because they can't withstand the lawsuit and maintaining their small business and or medium sized business. This is very difficult. Now, corporations, obviously, they have more of a budget to deal with this, and it's really a cost of doing business for them. But even corporations have difficulty with this, and many of them don't understand accessibility and compliance and how to reduce risk of lawsuit. And then even attorneys in this space, there are many defense attorneys in this space who have significant experience, years of experience, who still don't understand really what they're doing. They think they do, but they don't. And so the channel, the articles, the guides, everything is designed get to get website owners, to get digital asset owners closer to reality and aligned with doing everything that they can to reduce risk of litigation, and then to also be in compliance with the law. And those are two different things, especially in the United States, where we have serial litigation that's ongoing, and really abusing the legal system, not designed for accessibility, designed for settlements. So trying to help preempt any litigation and then any penalties resulting from non-compliance, trying to preempt that, and then helping people understand the various digital accessibility laws. So recently, I've been writing a lot on the European Accessibility Act, trying to make the requirements for the different entities involved as commonsensical and easy to understand as possible. So that's what I'm doing with this channel. That's how I got started. And if I have any, I'll link to my courses in the description, the ADA compliance course and the WCAG course. I'll link to those in the description. And then if I think of anything else, I'll also add that to the description.